Today, we are diving deep into something that affects every single one of us, our hidden psychological blueprint. It's like this invisible architecture that was designed for you long before you even knew what architecture was, and it quietly shapes pretty much everything you do.
I mean, it's the ultimate question, isn't it? Why are we the way we are? Why do you react to a stressful day one way while your friend reacts completely differently? Why do we keep falling into the same old frustrating patterns, especially in our relationships?
Well, the key isn't just about the choices you're making right now. The real answer, or at least a huge part of it, is in that hidden blueprint. Just imagine the original floor plan for your personality was sketched out when you were a little kid, and you didn't even realize it was happening.
So, for this first part, let's explore how exactly this blueprint gets made. We'll look at how those early experiences really do end up shaping our adult selves.
And to make this really concrete, we're going to use a case study that you've probably heard of, the anxious attachment style. It is the perfect example of how our childhood designs our adult reactions, and it shows us exactly how to read one of these hidden blueprints.
So what is it exactly? Well, someone with an anxious attachment style is often living with this deep, nagging fear of being abandoned. This translates into a constant need for reassurance from partners, from friends, just to feel safe and secure in the relationship. You know, this isn't just about being a little needy. It's a fundamental pattern that's been wired right into their blueprint.
And this right here shows you exactly how that blueprint gets drawn. It starts in childhood. Step 1. Love feels unpredictable. Maybe a parent was super warm one minute and then cold and distant the next. That inconsistency leads to step 2. A core belief starts to form that connection itself is unstable. And the result? Step 3. An adult who is always looking for reassurance, trying to quiet that old fear from their childhood.
Okay, now that we kind of see how a blueprint gets formed, let's use this idea to look at something we see all the time, especially on the internet. Social archetypes. Things like memes and labels, because they are so much more than that. They're actually clues to a much deeper psychological story.
Let's just take the Karen archetype. We all know the meme, right? It's all about entitlement and complaining in public. But if you look at the psychological blueprint behind it, a completely different picture emerges. This kind of behavior can actually be rooted in this desperate, pathological need for control. It's an attempt to manage the outside world when your inner world feels really fragile and unstable. So it's really not about the cold coffee. It's about a deep fear of losing control.
Let's look at another super common type, the people pleaser. We all know someone like this, who just cannot say no. But this quote reframes that whole behavior so powerfully. It suggests it's not really about being nice. It's actually a survival strategy learned way back in childhood, and it's known as the fawn response. The fawn response is a survival mechanism, pure and simple. Imagine a kid in a really chaotic or volatile environment. They learn really fast to just suppress their own needs to keep their caregivers happy, because making other people happy is the absolute safest way to avoid conflict or neglect. The blueprint that's being written is brutally simple. My safety depends on your happiness. And man, that is a heavy, heavy burden to carry into your adult life.
Okay, so we've talked about the loud one, and we've talked about the agreeable one, but what about the person who just stays silent? What's their story?
The blueprint of the quiet kid isn't about having nothing to say. In fact, it's often the exact opposite. Behind that silence is usually an incredibly rich interior life. Their quietness is a survival mechanism. If the outside world felt overwhelming, chaotic, or just unsafe, the blueprint they developed was straightforward: retreat inward. Because the only real safety is found inside.
So, why does understanding any of this really matter? I mean, why should we care about these blueprints? Well, because it allows us to move beyond just throwing around simple labels and actually get to a place of genuine empathy.
And this right here is the core takeaway of this whole thing. The people pleaser, the quiet kid, the person with anxious attachment. These are not just personality quirks. They are the living, breathing stories of how each and every one of us learned to survive our own unique circumstances. They're strategies that were born from pure necessity.
Ultimately, understanding the blueprint, your own and the blueprint of others, is the #1 key. It is the thing that unlocks not just self-awareness for you, but real, honest compassion for why other people are the way they are. And all of this leaves us with just one final question for you to take with you. When you really look at your own patterns, your own reactions, your own survival strategies, what story does your blueprint tell?